The minister was at the peak of his career. He was the king's wisest advisor, respected by all in the kingdom. His advice shaped laws, decided wars, and ensured the empire's prosperity. He believed that nothing could tarnish his reputation until that day. In the grand throne room, the king, surrounded by nobles and courtiers, smiled and said, "You are, without a doubt, one of the most intelligent men I have ever had by my side." The minister bowed, feeling proud. But then the king continued, "It's curious, because your father is the most foolish man I have ever met." The hall fell silent. Some suppressed laughter emerged among the nobles. The minister felt his face heat with anger and shame. "Your Majesty, why do you say that? My father may not be a learned man, but calling him a fool in front of everyone is something I need to understand." The king crossed his legs and smiled. "Every day, I see him walking through the kingdom. And whenever I meet him, I ask him this simple question: what weighs more, a cup full of tea or an empty one? And do you know what he says? He always answers, 'The empty one.' Everyone laughs at him. Your own father becomes the court jester without realizing it." The laughter grew louder. The minister felt something he had never felt before: humiliation. How could the son of the most foolish man in the kingdom be the wisest minister? He could not let this continue. That very afternoon, the minister rode furiously to his father's house. He found him sitting under the shade of a tree, watching a group of children play. The old man looked peaceful, unaware of the storm brewing in his son's heart. "Father," the minister shouted, "you have shamed me for years, without me even knowing." The old man slowly turned his face, his eyes calm. "What happened, my son?" The minister clenched his fists. "The king told me that every day he asks you, 'What weighs more, a cup full of tea or an empty one?' And that you always answer, 'The empty one.' And now, everyone in the castle laughs at me." The father remained silent for a moment. Then, he slowly stood up and walked over to a small wood stove. He took an old iron kettle and began to prepare tea. The minister breathed heavily, waiting for an explanation. But the father simply poured the tea, and suddenly he continued pouring beyond the edge of the cup. The hot liquid overflowed, spilling onto the table. "You're spilling everything!" the minister exclaimed, pulling the cup away. The father just smiled and replied, "Exactly. How can I teach you something new if you are already full of yourself?" The minister froze. He looked into his father's eyes and saw something he had never noticed before. "Do you understand now, my son? The empty cup is always the heaviest, because only when it is empty can it be filled with knowledge. Just like us, my son." The minister then said, "Father, you knew what you were doing?" The old man took a sip of tea and smiled. "Of course. The king loves to feel superior. He enjoys proving that others are less wise than him. But I chose to be the joke so that he would never try to humiliate someone else. Someone had to bear that role." The minister felt a lump in his throat. Throughout his life, he had strived to be seen as the wisest, the most intelligent, the most respected. But his father had already achieved something far greater than he could ever dream of: the humility to make himself small to protect others. Now, think about it. How many times in life do we believe we are full of knowledge, certainty, and reason? Often, our own arrogance prevents us from learning something new. The minister's father chose to appear foolish to teach a greater lesson. Wisdom is not about showing how much we know, but recognizing how much we still have to learn. So, If someone challenges you with a simple question today, before laughing or judging, stop and reflect. Are you being the full cup or the empty one? If this video spoke to you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support means the world to us.